Aloha, everyone. If you're just joining, we're gonna give it another minute or so. Hey, aloha and mahalo for joining. My name is David Sakota, and I'm the Fisheries Program Manager for the State of Hawaii, Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Aquatic Resources. I will be conducting tonight's public hearing along with the DAR staff at our in-person host sites. It is now 5:33 p.m. and this public hearing is called to order. This is a formal public hearing on the proposed adoption of a new chapter, Hawaii Administrative Rules, HAR Chapter 13-78, entitled Ocean Stewardship User Fee. The primary purpose of this new chapter is to establish rules implementing the Ocean Stewardship User Fee that was established by the Hawaii State Legislature in 2021 through Act 46 and codified in Section 187A-52 Hawaii Revised Statutes. As required by law, the proposed rules have been drafted in Ramsar format, copies of which can be found in the announcement section of the DAR website. Those attending the meeting in person may ask DAR staff for a copy. This public hearing is being simultaneously live streamed to the DAR YouTube channel for anyone wishing to observe the public hearing but not provide testimony. For your convenience, the address to the DAR YouTube channel is at the top of this slide, and the link to the live stream has also been pasted in the chat. The purpose of this hearing is to provide the public the opportunity to provide comments in the form of oral and written testimony on these proposed amendments. Approvals to conduct this public hearing were obtained from the Board of Land and Natural Resources at their board meeting on June 9, 2023. The legal notice of this public hearing was published in the June 24, 2023 Saturday issues of the Garden Island and West Hawaii Today newspapers, and in the June 25, 2023 Sunday issues of the Honolulu Star Advertiser and Hawaii Tribune Herald. Additionally, notice of this public hearing was posted on the draft rules and public notices page of the DAR website, where digital copies of the draft rules in Ramsar format can be found, as well as posted on the announcements page of the DAR website. First, we will watch a short video explaining the proposed changes to the administrative rules. We will then begin the public testimony period, which will be conducted as follows. Everyone testifying via Zoom was required to pre-register in order to get the link to testify. We will keep registration open throughout the public hearing and will monitor our email in case anyone has trouble registering or joining the Zoom. However, if you're unable to join via Zoom, you may still provide oral testimony at one of the in-person hearing locations listed in this slide, or you may submit written testimony by following the directions at the bottom of this slide. Everyone testifying in person at one of the host sites should have written their information down on the sign-in sheet provided at the host site. Those attending in person who have not registered but would like to provide testimony can alert the DAR public hearing officer at your in-person site at this time, and your name will be added to the list. It is important that everyone who wishes to testify provide their name and contact information so we have an accurate record of everyone providing testimony. You will be called upon by a member of the DAR staff when it is your turn to testify. We ask that all individuals attending virtually keep their microphones muted when not speaking. We will take testimony in the following order. First, we will take in-person testimony from people who have been signed up to testify, beginning on Kaua'i, then Oahu. Once all in-person testimony is gathered, we will take Zoom testimony. Please keep your testimony brief and on the subject to allow everyone the opportunity to testify. Each person providing testimony will be given 3 minutes. Please be aware that if you go beyond 3 minutes, I will kindly ask you to conclude your testimony. We are recording this hearing to make a complete and accurate record of the proceedings, so please state your full name before giving your testimony. Make sure to speak clearly so we accurately record your testimony for the record. Please turn off the YouTube stream of this hearing while testifying, as it will cause an echo. Please remember to respect the opinions of all testifiers and that this hearing is not an opportunity for accusations or rebuttals. There may be differing opinions. Everyone will have an opportunity to voice their opinion for the department to consider. All testimony should be directed to me, not to the audience. Once again, please note that this hearing is simultaneously being streamed on YouTube. The live stream will be recorded and preserved on YouTube as a matter of public record. Please be aware that by offering your oral testimony today, you're consenting to being audio and video recorded if your camera is on. Let's begin with a short video on the background explaining the proposed administrative rules.
Hawaii Administrative Rules, Chapter 13-78, Ocean Stewardship User Fee, Background and Legal Authority. In 2021, the Hawaii State Legislature introduced House Bill 1019 as part of DLNR's administrative bill package. In the bill, the legislature recognized the ecological, economic, and cultural value of Hawaii's ocean waters and marine resources to the state. It also noted that the increasing popularity of marine ecotourism requires greater measures to ensure the continued health of marine ecosystems, and that DLNR may need a more consistent and reliable funding source to manage, protect, and restore marine resources throughout the state. To address this need, House Bill 1019 proposed to establish an Ocean Stewardship Special Fund and to authorize DLNR to adopt rules pursuant to the Chapter 91 rulemaking process to establish non-resident user fees for the use and enjoyment of the state's ocean resources. On June 8, 2021, then Governor David Ige signed the measure into law as Act 46, which was later codified into the Hawaii Revised Statutes under HRS Section 187A-51, Ocean Stewardship Special Fund, and 187A-52, Ocean Stewardship User Fee. The new law requires all commercial use permit holders to collect an Ocean Stewardship User Fee from each passenger carried or customer served beginning on January 1, 2024, provided that the fee shall be $1 per passenger or customer deposited into the Ocean Stewardship Special Fund established pursuant to HRS Section 187A-51 and requires the department to adopt rules to implement the new fee requirement. The department has received questions regarding how the monies collected will be used. HRS Section 187A-51 subsection C establishes the authorized uses for the Ocean Stewardship Special Fund. The statute allows the monies deposited into the Ocean Stewardship Special Fund to be used to develop and carry out marine resource conservation, restoration, enhancement, research, regulatory measures, enforcement actions, educational activities, or any other management measure intended to conserve, restore, and enhance state marine resources, develop and carry out restoration and compensatory mitigation measures for impacts to the marine environment, including impacts to the marine environment from federal or state permitted actions or aquatic resource violations, and install, maintain, and replace day-use mooring buoys and other infrastructure to reduce impacts to the marine ecosystem. Subsequently, based on feedback during public scoping, DAR plans to use Ocean Stewardship User Fee revenues for a number of projects and programs, including but not limited to habitat restoration, including coral reefs and estuaries, invasive species prevention and removal, water quality research and monitoring, marine debris removal, enhanced monitoring of marine habitat and resources, establishing a statewide program to install, inspect, maintain, and replace day-use mooring buoys, and development of materials and trainings to educate visitors on the cultural, historical, and ecological importance of the various marine resources they interact with, as well as best practices to minimize their impacts. Now that we have provided some background on the Ocean Stewardship User Fee and Ocean Stewardship Special Fund, we will review the draft rules that are the basis of this public hearing. Hawaii Administrative Rules Chapter 13-78 entitled Ocean Stewardship User Fee. Section 1 is the definitions section and includes the pertinent definitions for the chapter. The following definitions are included within this section. Commercial operator means a person that is required to have a commercial operator permit or commercial use permit pursuant to Section 13-256-3 Hawaii Administrative Rules. Commercial operator permit means a permit described in Section 13-256-3 Hawaii Administrative Rules, now known as commercial use permit. Commercial vessel means a vessel engaged in any trade, business, or commercial activity, including but not limited to carrying passengers for hire, charter fishing, bareboat, or any type of charter maintenance, harvesting coral or similar resources, construction, towing, towboating, or other trade or business wherein the vessel is used in any manner to promote the venture or is registered with the state or documented by the United States Coast Guard for commercial use. Customer means an individual using the services of a commercial use permit holder. Department means the Department of Lands and Natural Resources. Passenger means an individual on board a vessel other than the master, member of the crew, or other persons employed in the business of the vessel. Person means an individual, partnership, firm, company, corporation, association, or other entity. State means the state of Hawaii. Vessel means all description of watercraft used or capable of being used as a means of transportation on or in the water, except a seaplane. Section 2, subsections A through C essentially restate the relevant ocean stewardship user fee requirements set forth in HRS Section 187A-52. It states that all operators of commercial vessels, watercraft, or water sports equipment that are required to have a commercial operator permit or commercial use permit pursuant to Section 13-256-3 shall collect an ocean stewardship user fee from each passenger carried or customer served. The ocean stewardship user fee shall be $1 per passenger or customer. Fees collected pursuant to this section shall not be counted towards gross revenues for purposes of Section 200-10, subsection C5, Hawaii Revised Statutes. And all fees collected pursuant to this section shall be transferred to the Department on or before the last day of the month following the month in which the fees were collected. Subsection 2E establishes a monthly reporting requirement for commercial operators to report the total number of passengers carried or customers served during the month covered by the report. This information is necessary to calculate the amount of collected user fees that must be transferred to the department. The report will also collect information about the general location of the operator's commercial activity, as well as the nature or type of commercial activity. This information can assist DLNR in deciding how user fee revenues should be allocated. Subsection 2F requires commercial operators to maintain records of the daily number of passengers carried or customers served for at least 24 months and to make them available for inspection by DLNR upon request. This provides a mechanism for DLNR to conduct audits to ensure compliance with user fee requirements. Section 3 describes the statutorily authorized penalties that will apply for violations of this chapter. It states that any person violating any provision of this chapter shall be subject to administrative penalties as provided by Section 187A-12.5 Hawaii Revised Statutes, revocation of a commercial use permit as provided by Section 13-256-10 Hawaii Administrative Rules, and denied reissuance of commercial use permits as provided by Section 13-231-61 Hawaii Administrative Rules. Section 3B also states that unless otherwise expressly provided, the remedies or penalties provided by this chapter are cumulative to each other and to the remedies or penalties available under all other laws of the state. Last, Section 4 is a severability clause, which is a standard inclusion when new administrative rules are proposed.
We have now reached the testimony portion of this public hearing. As a reminder, the address to the DAR YouTube channel is at the top of the slide, and a link to the live stream has been pasted in the chat. If you just want to listen in to this hearing without providing testimony, you're welcome to log off this Zoom meeting and view the YouTube live stream of the hearing. You'll be called upon, if you're providing testimony and remain in the Zoom room, you'll be called upon by a member of the DAR staff when it's your turn to testify. We ask that individuals attending virtually keep their microphones muted when not speaking. As I mentioned earlier, we'll take testimony in the following order. First, we'll take in-person testimony from people who have been signed up to testify beginning on Kaua'i, then Oahu. And once all in-person testimony is gathered, we'll take Zoom testimony. As a reminder, please keep your testimony to 3 minutes in order to ensure that everyone who signed up has a chance to give testimony. If there's extra time at the end of everyone on the list and you would like more time to testify, we will allow those who already spoke to give additional testimony. I will now stop sharing my screen so everyone providing testimony can be clearly seen. Okay, so first we'll start with any in-person testimony on Kaua'i. I'll hand it off to you, Heather.
Aloha, David. Are you ready?
Yes, please state your name and proceed.
Thank you, David. My name is Taryn Dizon. I am a Kekaha Kaua'i resident. Thank you for this opportunity to provide testimony on the proposed adoption of implementing an ocean stewardship user fee. As an avid user of the Nepali coastline, I am beyond grateful and thankful of this proposal, but I don't believe $1 is enough. Our deleterious Nepali coastline is a fine example of the lack of stewardship programs and enforcement on permitted commercial permits. Nuololo Kai is nestled in one of the most secluded, inhabited, and undeveloped part of Kaua'i, yet the reef is not dying, but dead. Each year, as we gather to subsidize our food and perpetuate our knowledge to our keiki, I constantly ask myself, why is our reef dead? Why are the resources being taken away from us? Why is tourism and the exploitation of our natural resources hold a higher priority than our environment? Nepali coast is not only our oldest and most fragile coastline, which is beyond evident that not only a stewardship user fee is needed, but also more stringent parameters within the permit that requires stewardship programs like quarterly coast-up cleaning and sunscreen programs with fines to able to revoke of permits if not abiding by the permit, to just name a few. These small efforts will help prevent DAR's response or reaction to care for our natural resources. Deep sea fishing and tour boats with swimming have a different type of environmental impact, which I would suggest separating into a multiple tier system for fees. This will help support the fact that $1 is not enough on tour boats, and I highly suggest increasing that amount to a $10 with stringent parameters in the permit to include mandatory stewardship programs from the operator that they must present annually. $20 if stewardship program parameters are not set in permit. Thank you again for this opportunity, this discussion, and share what I witnessed and observed from growing up on the Nepali coast. I really hope that we investigate the preventative approach and require the businesses to create and maintain a stewardship program as they profit from our state's natural resources. Mahalo for your time, Taryn. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo.
Nick, you ready?
next on Kaua'i.
Aloha. Thank you, David.
Aloha, please proceed. State your name and proceed.
My name is Nick Croft. I am co-owner of Explore Kaua'i Scuba here in Kaua'i. Excuse me. I do not have a nice speech like the lady previously to me, but just kind of winging it. But the idea of this, I think, is great. The idea of, you know, us as a scuba company getting to see the ocean day in, day out. We wanted to, you know, to help it out. And like, we already do a lot of things to help out the ocean just by ourselves. So to have the state involved in putting time and money into it sounds phenomenal, sounds amazing. Where the funds are going to go and how they're going to be distributed and exactly is kind of, I don't really fully understand. There's a lot of things saying that what the money's going to be used for, but it's not really in detail. As like, yeah, exactly. Just more detail where the money's going to go. You want protecting natural resources, stuff like that. Talking about, I know they're saying a lot of tour companies are exploiting the natural resources and such. As a scuba diver who gets to see the reef day in, day out, at least here in Kaua'i, I don't really see that. Even during COVID, when there's no people here, people ask me like, "Oh, did you see the reef get better? Fish start thriving better?" Like, I really didn't see anything change because I feel like a lot of it's already pretty taken care of. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely for it. And like the speaker before me said, it could even be more than $1. Like, I'd be glad to be part of it. I just want to see it exactly where it's going to go. We already pay a lot of money to the state and we don't see where that money goes. So if there was more of a detailed description, how it's going to be done, I'd even volunteer our time to be a part of it. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think a little more structure needs to be involved with how it's going to be spent and so forth. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully that makes sense.
Okay, mahalo.
Yeah, thank you so much, David.
Anyone else on Kaua'i?
Yeah, Colin's gone. Did you want to provide testimony? I'll do written. Okay, written, okay. And Bethany, oh, wait, that's you. Tadashi is in the bathroom, I think. Just went to the restroom. Aaron, do you want to check if Tadashi wants to give a testimony?
We can come back if we want.
Okay. Or did you want to give testimony? No? Okay. Yeah, I guess come back to us in a minute.
Okay. Let's move to Oahu. We'll take in-person testimony on Oahu, and I'll hand it over to you, Brian.
Right on.
Aloha, please state your name and proceed.
My name is Earl Connie. I'm the owner of Hawaii Hotspot Surf School. I've owned my business in Waikiki since 2005. As a surf school owner, we already pay the DLNR boating division $300 a month. To have our surf school, we got to have our liability policy, which names DLNR as an additional insurer. I got to have a tax person to get all our tax clearances to get our boating permits. I feel it's a little unfair as a surf school owner who doesn't use any resources or, go on top of the reef. We educate students about staying off of the reef. I don't feel it's fair that we have to, collect the dollar. We already do a lot, but, one of the big problems we all have is, to be a legal surf school. And then every day we're down there and we're just surrounded by, a bunch of illegal surf schools. It seems unfair that the good guys, you know, gotta do the dirty work while all these illegal guys just get away with murder daily, you know, out there. You know, maybe it could come out of voting. You know, maybe you could charge the tourists when they come off of the plane that $1. But you know, to add another $1 and we have to keep records for 2 years for it. And you know, and if we don't do it now, we lose our permit. That seems a little harsh. Doesn't seem fair.
Hang on, we gotta stop you. David, we're gonna try to figure out one quick thing because the people in the room cannot hear what Brad is saying.
Okay.
Okay.
I think the best way
Okay. What we can do? Okay.
Thank you, David.
Well, I love figuring out technology, but if you guys can come closer, come sit up here, we're gonna be a little bit close to each other, at least we can hear what God is saying. So when we, and then next, this is practice, that's why I have to figure out the next week, but then find people, but if you can figure out like 20 people, how to put it right. Yeah, no. You think we set 2 different computers, they need exactly the thing. The thing is, when we talk with somebody, talk and it's excellent.
When you're ready, you can unmute. Just as a reminder, for those of you presenting testimony, the testimony should be presented to me through the computer. It shouldn't be to the audience. But I mean, the audience is welcome to listen if they want.
Was just because we can hear you on top of the speaker over here, but when Brana stayed talking into the computer, because of the feedback on the speaker, we cannot turn the speaker on over here, or it doesn't catch in the speaker. So that we try for like troubleshoot when stuff over here. So that's what we try for doing. So sorry.
Yeah, let's proceed with the testimonies.
David, you heard
Yeah.
you heard what I said, right, David?
I did, yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, mahalo.
Sorry. Yeah, so if you guys, just for that, you guys talk. He's getting it, it's being recorded on the Zoom. So if you guys can go back and listen, you can hear it over there. We just gotta figure out how to make them come on the boom box, so you guys can hear over here. We don't have tech people here, so we all like, we don't have to look at spaceship stuff, but this kind of stuff, we gotta follow on. Next to Edie Rebello. Edie, you ready? You gotta, look like they say, the kind, game plan. You wanna come back? Okay, you need to come back. Theodore Connie. Theodora, excuse me. Like I said, they can hear you, so it'll be recorded on there. And again, if you don't get everything on this, you can write them up.
Got it.
10 pages. Yeah.
Hi.
Aloha,
David.
please state your name and proceed.
Theodora Connie. It was difficult for me to hear what Errol said, and I wanted to make sure that we hit all the points that we wanted to hit. I want to ask if you've heard of SB 304. It's an impact visitor fee bill that went up this year. It just sat, but it basically puts the responsibility of collecting fees from visitors, not to the commercial operators. In other words, visitors have to take out a license. They get a license, they pay right now $50 for it, and that gives them access to all the natural resources that we have here in Hawaii. So SB 304, and it's completely written out with how it works and how it's structured and how those fees are collected. And it sounds infinitely fairer to me than it does for individual commercial operators to take on the burden of trying to collect fees, all the things that can go wrong with that, the responsibility, the extra cost to small businesses that are just coming out of COVID, trying to get themselves back up to where they were before. There's so many things that I see personally that can go wrong. I do not disagree with the validity of having a stewardship program. I think it's excellent. I think it's well needed. I just do not believe and do not think that the manner in which it's set up now is going to be successful. I think it's going to create a lot of problems. I know for us, it will create all kinds of problems. I don't know how we can collect that fee. I don't know what we do if we collect the fee and then the guest decides they don't want to take the surf lesson. I don't know how we're going to assign staff in our business to be responsible for that. I really especially do not understand the penalty phase of this. Who decides that something's wrong? Who decides that the school, surf school or whatever, did not collect the fees they were supposed to, and now they're going to get penalized? And the penalty is such a threat. The penalty is revoking the commercial license. I can just see all kinds of problems with that. I also do not understand, and I'm sure you agree with me on this, is how DLNR DoCare is going to enforce any of this. They already are overwhelmed and overburdened. They are not able to enforce the laws that are already in place, especially with regards to the commercial operations on Waikiki Beach. We are above board and meet every single requirement above and beyond what is required from us legally. We need the state of Hawaii with $1 million as an additional insured on our liability insurance. We jump through hoops, our tax clearances, everything we do is letter perfect. But right next to us are 10 other surf schools that just drive down to the heliport, paddle out and run businesses, and they don't pay anything. They pay no fee, they pay no taxes, they have no insurance, and nobody does anything about it. It's not enforced. So I have a lot of issues with that. I would really like to, if you could possibly take the time for 304 to review it and see how maybe that might dovetail in. And if there's a way that you can explain how we can collect these funds without being penalized and who's responsible for enforcing, I'd like to hear about it. Thank you for your time.
Okay, mahalo.
Next is Joanne Howard. Yeah, Don Anderson.
Hello.
Aloha.
Sean Anderson. I think everybody agrees that doing more to conserve and put money to that is a good thing. I think a lot of us who have these small businesses that have a lot of, it's already pretty tough on us with the bookkeeping and other issues. And I think we also, from the guys that I know that work in just the surf school industry, feel that, a lot of the tax on the reef and the things comes from just the massive amount of people that are swimming in the ocean in Waikiki. It feels like to us that it's a good idea and it comes from a good place, but that it's a little unfair if you're going to tax like surfboards and outriggers that really don't do very much damage to the reef or the ecosystem, when there's all these bigger businesses with bigger, deeper pockets that are not going to be paying this tax, that are actually the ones who are impacting the reef and impacting the water. We saw like how clear the water got when it wasn't full of people with sunblocking and swimming. So, I mean, I like to see something like this happen, but I feel like it's not being spread out where it should really be spread out. And, you know, for us, we're trying to rebound. And if I could raise my prices and feel safe doing that, I would. But I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but $1 for every customer adds up to a lot of revenue. And I understand that the customer is, you know, the way this is framed, the customer is the one paying. But at the end of the day, I got bookkeepers figuring this out, and I am spending a lot more time and money and energy trying to pay for something that I think should be maybe spread out a little more evenly amongst the people who are using it and doing the damage. But, you know, I'm all for us getting some sort of stewardship fund. I just feel like it would be better if we spread this out, not just among boat and surfboard and outrigger users. I'm hoping we can come up with something that works for everybody. And that's all I got. Thanks.
Okay, mahalo. Ryan, anyone else? Aloha.
Aloha.
Go ahead and state your name and proceed.
Sure. Hi, I'm Anthony Ching with the Nature Conservancy of Hawaii and Palmyra. And thank you for the opportunity to testify today. TNC supports the proposed rules to generate funding for the important management and conservation role that DAR plays to steward our ocean resources for all of Hawaii. The proposed rules will allow for DAR to collect the ocean stewardship user fee as authorized in law and help to fund key management actions for coral reefs, nearshore fisheries, and other key coastal and marine resources. We hope to see the funding support community co-management throughout the state with the local communities that are working hard to better manage their nearshore fisheries and coral reefs. Our oceans provide food, recreation, shoreline protection, and many other, and support much of the visitor industry. And they face, you know, pretty dire threats currently that DAR and we all must manage. And so we hope that this ocean stewardship user fee will help to ensure that there are resources for that key, those key management actions. So we just wanted to hope to see this rulemaking process continue, and wanted to thank the DAR staff for holding this public hearing, and we look forward to continuing to work with you all. Mahalo.
Okay, mahalo.
Because nobody can hear me. Oh, mine is not for Hawaii Island anyway. It's for Oahu.
I will speak to that after this. I'm not sure how you guys find.
Aloha.
Keone Downing. First of all, am I correct that this rule was put into place in 2019? David?
If you could put that question in a testimony format, there's not a time for me to answer questions.
Okay, David, then I will do it this way. It's been since 2019. You guys have done nothing to create any kind of framework or outline. You are going after the low-lying fruit of the commercial person that is paying. You've done nothing for the illegal people. Most of these things in here are run by DOBAR, not DAR. So there's nothing showing the collaboration between the two groups and how you're going to extract money out of these people. That really is a DOBAR problem because they're the ones that start off the permit process. Now, what activities are you picking for this? Who are the commercial permit people? Who gets a special fund? Who gets to use the special fund? What departments within DLNR are using the special fund? Or are you saying only DAR gets to use the special fund? Who's in charge of the day moorings? Is it DAR or is it DOBAR? Okay. Fees should not be blanket policy over every discipline, because every discipline is different and every island is different. Okay, have you ever, since 2019, this predicted how much money DLNR can raise from this venture? And what kind of costs are you going to be charged to implement this? You folks have a very hard time implementing anything. So I get what you're trying to do. I think what you're trying to do has merit, but I think you're far away from being able to implement something successful. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo.
Good afternoon. My name is Sue Stover, Polokai Catamaran. I'm one of the 6 operators we have a permit with DLNR to operate our beach catamaran on the beach. I'm here today because of the $1 fee that you're going to charge. I understand that we've been paying 3% of our gross receipts to DLNR every single month, which goes into our general fund. It has not come back to help any of the commercial operators. And right now the beach is completely eroded. The piers are falling apart. And so now you're going to impose this $1 fee. Is this going to provide more enforcement? Is it going to weed out the illegal operators? So basically right now you're going to charge the commercial operators more fees when there are illegal operators, specifically at Turtle Canyon, posing a dangerous threat to all of the legal commercial operators who are following the rules, paying our fees and training our people properly. They're the ones putting in illegal moorings, breaking the moorings that we put in, and basically creating a dangerous situation out there. So with this fee, I'm all for it if it's going to create more enforcement, if it's going to have more enforcement officers out there to make sure that it is a safe environment, or is it going into another general fund? So that's why I'm here, because I was in that last hearing 2 months ago and nobody could answer the question, where is this $1 that we're going to be collecting from our guests? Where is that going? Again, if it's going to go to repair the moorings at Turtle Canyon, put in legal moorings, make it a safer area, have enforcement, patrolling the waters, I'm all for it. But my question is, where is the $1 going? Thank you for your time.
Hey, mahalo.
Everybody did sign up, would you testify? Come on.
This is on. Hi, my name is Harry D. Robello, also known as Didi. I'm the owner and operator of Aloha Beach Services, a family-run business that my dad, Harry S. Robello, established in 1959. At 1983, at age 21, I took over the family business from my dad. For the last 4 decades, we have worked with both Harbor Division and the administration, the DLNR, since they took over. As a native Hawaiian and a direct descendant of the famed Waikiki family, the Kahanamokus, I take great pride in our cultural Hawaiian heritage of the services we provide. Located beachside of the Moana Surfrider Hotel, adjacent to the Outrigger Hotel and Duke's Restaurant. We're the only beach services that has operated directly on the sand and have continuously served the community since the Harbors Division managed the Waikiki Shoreline Orma District. We have worked with every administration in the best that we can and hope to maintain a fair and harmonious relationship. However, I write to express my deep concerns about recent changes that have negatively impacted our operations and the safety of beachgoers. It'll get all the way down to everything. The ocean stewardship fee and the cup. The sudden repeal of the blue card, also known as the Orma card, just before the current chairperson assumed office, has had far-reaching consequences. This change has not only affected the experience of our visitors, but has compromised overall safety along the shoreline. The proliferation of surf schools in recent years has reached a saturation point, leading to overcrowding at popular surf spots such as Canoes, Baby Queens, the public bath area near the natatorium in the wildlife sanctuary. This overcrowding has resulted in increased physical conflicts between experienced, inexperienced, and fly-by-night instructors on a daily basis. These developments have made the situation increasingly challenging and concerning for everyone involved. Additionally, within the past decade, a requirement was imposed upon us to obtain commercial use permit for the cup. These changes have had an adverse impact on our operations. Previously, we were never subject to such impositions. When we inquired about the purpose of these permits, we were informed that they were charges for our service of surfing lessons and outrigger canoe rides, our utilization of the ocean. As a beach service focused on teaching and preserving our cultural Hawaiian heritage safely, including activities such as surfing and outrigger canoe surfing, we prioritize the safety of both visitors and kama'aina. We diligently adhere to safety protocols, suspending all services during inclement weather and unsafe surf conditions. For instance, during the recent significant south swell that hit Waikiki and the South Shore on June 24th of 2023, we made the correct decision to cease operation to prevent any potential injuries. Our commitment to safety outweighs any financial consideration, even if it means forfeiting income. Since the repeal of the blue card, our need for assistance from the DLNR has significantly diminished. However, we continue to fulfill our financial obligations, such as insuring the DLNR and paying for our CUP fees. Consequently, I'm against the ocean stewardship fee imposed on the legitimate beach services that operate directly on the beach in the sand, because we do our share. This makes us feel ashamed, as though we are resorting to extortion or begging for funds. Just because restaurants are charging kitchen fees does not mean we should blindly follow suit. The perception of this fee as an additional burden exacerbates the feeling of being extorted, both for us and legitimate beach services operating on the sand and for our visitors. If we are already paying fees to use this ocean off Waikiki, shouldn't that cover our contribution to ocean stewardship? We do not utilize or occupy any spaces within our harbor, nor do we rely on any restroom or harbor facilities, water to wash our equipment or boats down, electricity for lighting, or charging batteries. The DLNR no longer provides us with any support or resources. Instead, I propose that the funds collected through our CUP fees, being beach services that are on the sand and do not book, rent, sell any rides on any type of power vessel, be utilized for educational initiatives targeting our visitors. For instance, placing informational signs at the airports or on the beach. Alternatively, establishing a nonprofit stewardship program would allow businesses to donate directly to the fund, bypassing the DLNR. Why should the funds be directed to DLNR when they are already charging us for using the ocean? The money should be reinvested into the ocean itself. Aloha Beach Services prides itself on being environmentally conscious and sustainable operation. We employ 100% green practices, completely avoiding the use of gas or hydraulic fluids or harmful cleaning fluids. We do not sell any products that harm the ocean, such as sand toys like sand pail kits or sunscreens, and we discourage the use of sunscreen during our surfing lessons due to the safety concerns. Instead, we provide rash guards for sun protection. Our commitment to the ocean's well-being extends beyond teaching our guests. We actively clean up the shoreline and retrieve trash primarily consisting of plastics on a daily basis. We collect and dispose of them like shopping bags, beer cans, bottles, hats, bats, snorkel fins, goggles, and beach toys, ensuring their proper disposal. Our dedication to this cause comes naturally, and we do not seek recognition for our efforts. It is
Can you,
disheartening.
wrap up your testimony? Sorry.
Huh?
Can you start wrapping up your testimony?
I can't hear him.
2 minutes.
George, you're on the list.
If
Okay,
you
then
could
you
finish
should-
up, yeah, you can finish up, shortly, but you can also submit your testimony as written testimony
I can't hear a
for
word
the
you're saying.
record.
You can take the test, you can read the rest.
Oh, you're gonna read it.
You can read. No, you finish. I'll be right here
Okay.
with you.
It is disheartening to witness shops and stores that sell ocean recreational pollutants such as toys and sunscreens evade any financial responsibilities while we diligently clean up their discarded waste. Our beach boys, along with Hawaii's vital resource, our ocean safety lifeguards, constantly work to keep our waters free of pollution. Our guests also contribute by picking up trash during their experience with us. Their satisfaction lies in knowing they have made a positive impact, and they do not expect any monetary compensation. We believe that our responsibilities and priorities extend beyond mere profit. They encompass the protection and preservation of our ocean and its diverse marine life. Recognition and acknowledgement of our efforts are secondary to the inherent value we place on the well-being of our natural environment. It is unjust that we are not recognized for this extent of our contributions while being burdened with additional fees. I understand that the ocean stewardship fee currently stands at only $1. However, I'm concerned that this is just the beginning, as seen with the introduction of the cup fees. I implore you to reconsider the inclusion of beach services operating directly on the sand at Waikiki in this fee structure. It does not align with the principles of pono and fairness that we hold dear. I respectfully request that you exempt our beach services from this fee and consider alternative ways to allocate resources and support the ocean stewardship effort.
Mahalo.
Thanks all.
Anybody else? Anybody else? No.
Okay, that's it for a while.
Okay, thank you. All right, next we will take Zoom testimony. If you have registered for this Zoom hearing, we will presume you are interested in providing testimony and we'll call your name in the order you have signed up. If you do not wish to provide oral testimony and we call you, please just indicate so, or you can let us know through the chat feature. Okay, we're gonna begin calling testifiers in the order that they've signed up to testify. So first is Seijin Yu. Janelle Koo. John Souza. Tracy Bush. Okay, Bianca Seaton. Jess Rickard. Edwin Taniguchi. Shaper. Julia York. Chelsea Woodward. Chandra Birch.
Here, I'd like to submit testimony, please.
Yes, please proceed.
So my name is Chandra Birch. I work with Holo Holo Charters here on Kaua'i. And hi, I'm Chandra Birch with Holo Holo Charters on Kaua'i. I am generally in favor of a user fee, but I'm against the bill as it's written now. The idea of the user fee is hopeful. I think contributing money back to conservation and environmental stewardship is super important. But the way the language is drafted currently does not give me any hope that that's the way the funds will be used in perpetuity. Essentially, we already pay huge money to the state in terms of gross revenues, and there's no evidence of how that money is spent. DLNR and DOBOR is constantly saying they're underfunded and have no money for resource management. They don't even do basic upkeep. They don't have their staffing. There's lack of enforcement and all these other basic duties that are under their jurisdiction. If a user fee is implemented, it should be properly tracked and recorded so that money that's allocated based on the area it was received. So the user money should go right back to where it was generated. The neighbor islands always get the short end of the stick, in my opinion. So I don't want to see money generated on Kauai that's going towards harbor improvements or other projects on Oahu or somewhere else. There are plenty of projects in each county that could use their own money, so that money should be kept local. And the user fee money should always stay in the special fund in perpetuity. I believe as it's written now, the money goes into the general fund after so many years. If this is set up for an intention of resource management and conservation, then that's the way it should be forever. You shouldn't get to change it after a few years when everybody stops paying attention. Harbors in Hawaii are embarrassing. Enforcement is non-existent. Legal commercial operators, we have the greatest at stake here. Our livelihoods depend upon the health of our ecosystems. And as legal operators, we take that responsibility very seriously. We contribute greatly to visitor education, environmental stewardship, and supporting our local community and economy. So we're happy to contribute, but it doesn't make sense if that money isn't going to what you say it's going to in perpetuity. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo. Next, Thomas Milcarrick, Louis Rodriguez, Susumu Shimamoto. Would you like to provide testimony? Okay, moving on, Rosalie Luo, Victor Lozano.
Yep, hang on. Okay, yeah, I'd like to provide some testimony. Hello, my name is Victor Lozano, owner of Dolphin Excursions out in Waianae. I'm not in support of this $1 at this time. There seems to be a lot of mistrust and transparency in question. That's the theme that's going on. Everyone seems to be saying the same thing. We don't know how this dollar is going to be used. At this point, there's so many illegal charters out there. There's illegal moorings. Yes, things have to be done. We have to take care of this stuff. Will this dollar help out? None of us here really know if that's going to help or not. Presently, commercial operators already report gross receipts, which is based on a 3% of their gross or $1.50 a head, whichever one's greater. This turns out to be millions of dollars that are being collected statewide, millions. And yet you've heard everyone say the harbors are in disrepair, there's no enforcement. This money is going into a general fund. We'd like to, if you do this $1, it'd be nice to have a line in the same report that we do the gross receipts. Put another line. Don't make us fill out some other form. I am concerned about the tax on that dollar, as anybody should be. The tax, the GE tax on that dollar, the Fed tax on that dollar, and the credit card fees on that dollar. Who's in charge for paying that? Don't get me wrong. I don't mind collecting that dollar and paying the taxes on it, but I just want to make sure that this dollar gets used properly. And right now, there is no clear way this dollar is being used properly. At least we're not being explained how the dollar will be used. The dollar, it was explained to us earlier on in an informational meeting that the dollar will be
to do with the fee and stuff like that. But I think it should come out from the taxes that you're already taxing these people, commercials. I don't think it should be added more to the company. That's just me saying. But yeah, I love my oceans and we try to respect our oceans, and yeah, thank you.
Mahalo. Next, Alex Min, Henry Lee, Senator Lorraine Inouye, Denise Antolini. Aloha, please proceed.
Aloha, my name is Denise Antolini. I'm the volunteer president of Malama Pupakea Waimea on the North Shore of Oahu. We thank you for the opportunity to testify and support 3 points. First is the legislature passed this bill in 2021, I believe. So the focus, I think, of today's hearing is DLNR getting the rules out, and the bill already tells DLNR how to structure the fee and the purposes of the fund. So I do appreciate all the comments made, but I think it's important to realize that testimony today, at least from our part, it's not about the bill that was passed, but how DLNR should get the rules out. So we support the rules starting to get out there. Second, in terms of the discretionary use of the fund, I think the purposes of the statute provide broad discretion that support many of the suggestions already made by various speakers. Up here on the North Shore of Oahu, for example, it could support boundary markers, day use buoys, enforcement and education. For example, some of you may recall we had a manta ray death last year in Waimea Bay, and that was allegedly caused by a slack line in a boat. And so it could go right back into the resource. And I do support the comments made about keeping the money local as possible, and also in partnership with community organizations that can work with DLNR and the operators. My last comment is about the reporting under 13-78-2F, which is how the reports are held by DLNR. I would suggest that they be posted with the proprietary information redacted. By posting these reports, it provides the good operators that you're hearing from the opportunity to self-enforce and to show that they're taking the kuleana for this program. So that transparency also prevents, I would suggest, a future burden on the Department of 92F requests coming in to ask for all those reports. So I think that greater transparency in posting these reports, again, with proprietary information redacted, would provide a great kind of self-monitoring effect, which would take care at least of some of the issues raised in the testimony. But overall, Malama Pupukea Waimea is in support. There are significant commercial uses of the Marine Life Conservation District up here, and we support this as an opportunity for those users to give back to the resource. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Next up, Andrew Smith. Clayton Kubo.
Yeah, how's it? Clayton
Aloha.
Kubo, Waimea, Kaua'i. Yes, I did participate in this bill as it was going through the ledge. And yes, now it is an act. So I hear the other guys, you know, the Waikiki guys, I understand what they're saying, but in a way, you know, this is an act now. So gotta do what gotta do. And I'm glad to see and hear that you guys can put some money into water quality studies. Awesome. Okay. Mahalo nui again. Clayton Kubo, Waimea, Kaua'i. Aloha.
Mahalo. Next, we have Jonathan Lansing.
Yeah, present.
All right, go ahead.
Hey, aloha, David. Thank you. Can you see me?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I go by Johnny Lansing, one of the co-owners, operations manager for Napali Catamaran in Honolulu. Kind of in likeness to all the people who've testified ahead of me, I think everyone's in favor of having good stewardship towards the ocean and some type of a program being put into place to work with the permitted users in order to protect the island's natural resources. However, I think we all have concerns about how those funds are going to be used. And I just wanted to reiterate that and reinforce that. I think that applying the user fee, you know, at the end user, I think is the wrong way, putting the burden on the commercial permits in order to collect those funds. And just to shed a little bit of light as to why I have some of those concerns. You know, for us, we operate seasonally, only about 8 months a year. Really, in those 8 months, only about 6 months a year. I think in total last year, we canceled a little more than 1/4 of all reservations that we had made in a 12-month period. So it was a massive amount of cancellations. Those are funds being collected for activities and services that have not been rendered, and then all being refunded when the weather doesn't cooperate. And so the accounting concerns are massive. And the gentleman from Hawai'i proposed how the taxes will be applied. So there's a lot of details there that I think the rules and the proposal that in the draft that we had the opportunity to look at are very vague, and then how those funds are allocated as well. Everybody made really good remarks and notes as to the certain lack of enforcement, lack of maintenance of harbor facilities, and then the massive amounts of money that are already collected through the 3% gross sales, or the $10 a person, or however it is, whichever is larger. And operating out of Honolulu, we generate a good amount of funds for the state that we do not ever see a dollar of. We don't have a hose bib. We don't have a real launch ramp. We don't have a parking spot. We don't have anything. We put in all of our own channel markers, pretty much everything. So to hear more fees being generated and thrown into a general fund is a little bit unnerving. And I think that having an equal level of accountability for where these funds are going to go, as far as how they're generated locally, I'd like to see them put back locally. I think that was a really good point brought out by people who testified ahead of me. And then if such massive amounts of things are going to be on the line as far as fines and fees and risk of losing your permit, I think that the pressure should be back on you guys as well to provide accounting for where these fees are going monthly. If we're expected to give them monthly, the allocation of those funds should also sort of have to be accountable on your guys' end. Our guests, they leave us in our experience, as they should, with an education on ocean stewardship, on proper relationship with the reef, and being as minimally impactful as possible while they're in the water with us and the rest of their trip. We already provide reef safe sunscreen for all of our guests at great cost to us, and have it available for purchase for the rest of their trip. So one thing that I think the educational side of what's being proposed could be really, really beneficial. I think there's a good opportunity there to work with DAR and work with all the commercial operators and create something structured. But the language of this proposal doesn't say anything about that. That's very concerning, I think. Everyone here, everyone in Hawaii has, the utmost interest in seeing these natural resources, not just protected, but thriving. And without that, there's just nothing to see. There's nothing to do for all of us. So this is our livelihood and this is our business. And I think we all have the same goal, but how these things are being applied differently definitely is concerning. So I'm in favor of stewardship program, not in favor of the fee being collected by the commercial users. Thank you.
Mahalo. Next up, we have Christine Chung.
Hello, yes.
Yeah, please state your name and proceed.
Aloha, my name is Kim Mo-chang. I'm Christine's husband. We own Hawaii Surf Guru Surf School at the Kaua'i Boat Harbor. I'm in all favor for money that is being utilized to help Hawaii's beaches and ocean. But these fees should be collected by the state when every single tourist enters the Hawaiian Islands, and they pay before they come into the islands, or else they don't come in. Why do you hold a commercial use permit people that we already pay so much money as a small business to stay alive? And when we ask Ed Underwood to help us with our problems we have at the harbor, he does nothing. We see him in the news. He's talking about temporary food businesses in the Kaua'i Boat Harbor. We have probably 50% of the people working in the harbor are illegal. We tell every day for somebody to help us get these people out of us. It is not fair, it is unsafe, and we shouldn't be put through all of this. Why are we holding the bag for money that should be spent by every single tourist that comes to this island? Make them pay at the airport. Don't make us be the ones holding the bag. And then to put that dollar into my customers, I have to rearrange all of my fees on top of my website. I have to do all of these things. There's so much work for such a small business operator. You're supposed to be helping us. I pay at least $10,000 a year by insurance, pay fees, pay taxes. And when I ask them to help us, we get a letter of return of that, oh, we're busy. We have a lot of things going on. No enforcement, zero enforcement. That is one of the biggest problems Hawaii is facing today. And Hawaii should be cleaning this up themselves with the tourist tourism money that is put in fund because we want to have a better environment for our tourists to have a better stay. Don't you guys understand that? I don't get this. You guys are collecting money, but doing nothing about what the problems that everyone before I spoke said. Lack of enforcement. Okay, we have Mr. Underwood. He had paid money from the taxpayers for some appropriate things that he's done. He's still working. Why is he working? And then he's on the news talking about temporary food places that are opening at the Kaua'i Boat Harbor. That is so embarrassing. We have worked so hard to have such a beautiful place there, and not as the money we put in for that area, they don't spend a dime on the Kaua'i Boat Harbor. So I think at this point, I am for the money, but the money should be collected directly up front by the state. Why are you holding us, the hostages, to get your money? Get the money from the people that are coming. They're going to be using the beaches. Every single one of them are going to be using the beaches. So get the money from them directly. Why ask us to be your go-between? That's embarrassing to me. As a owner of a surf school for 48 years, I think that's ridiculous how you guys are treating us. We deserve better. You guys should make it pono by doing the right thing. Enforce these laws that you ask us to follow. But what about the guy next to me or that other guy next to me that comes every day that doesn't pay nothing? Zero. So I'm all for paying $5, even 10. If you get rid of all the guys next to me that are not supposed to be there, then that would be fair. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo.
If I could just add, as far as the
Can you state your name? And yeah,
Christine Chung, co-owner of Hawaii Surf Guru. You know, the commercial use permit, when you apply every year, you have to fill out a paper form and take it down to the office. The gross receipts is more paper forms. If you're gonna add another fee, can you please put all of this online? I mean, you know, this is 2023. We would really appreciate it if you could not create more literal paper and pen work that we have to complete in order to pay these fees. And the other thing I would like to see is please put in plain English, what specifically are the penalties going to be? You know, I got charged a 33% fee for being less than 4 days late, turning in my commercial use fees twice when there were holidays, $100 on a $300 fee, 33%. Even credit card companies don't charge that. So, you know, I think it's only fair that those things be very clearly spelled out so we're not shocked with usurious fees. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Before I move on, I just want to let people know that we are aware that the live stream has stopped working. We're working to fix it. We're still recording this Zoom meeting, so we'll be able to post the recording on the YouTube. But yeah, we're working to fix that live stream issue right now. Okay, next on the list is Kristen O'Laughlin. Okay, Chris Haynes. Greg Longnecker. Maya Walton. Ken Middleton. You want to provide testimony? Okay, moving on, Cody Sawyer. Scott Bacon.
Hey, Ken Middleton's here.
Okay.
Engaged me there.
Okay, yeah, please, Ken, proceed, state your name, and if you could turn on your video too, that would help.
I don't know how to do start video. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, I'm Ken Middleton. I've been operating for over 35 years, a charter business. And well, first off, kudos to Mr. Kudo and Mr. Chung, I'm sorry, for his testimony. He's right on the mark there. I just found out about this last week, and I spoke to Brian Ashita, one of your marine biologists there at the Division of Aquatic Resources. And I asked him, what is this $1 stewardship fee going to? And he didn't have a clue. Had no idea. And it's typical of the state and DLNR. There's no plan, there's no transparency, there's no accountability. And I'm tired of funds being flushed and wasted of ours. We've been paying a $300 monthly fee to operate out of Kaua'i Harbor for the last few years. And we haven't received our tags for the last 2 or 3 years. The DLNR can't even bother to mail those out to us. And most of the vessels, or many of the vessels, don't pay that. It's never been a level playing field since they instituted that on charter vessels, at least out of Kaua'i Harbor. And I just questioned that DLNR is capable of administering another tax, fairly and across the board equitably there. So everybody's paying their share. It's a level playing field. So yeah, just to summarize, I think this is just another tax of small businesses. We're easy prey. We're not organized. We don't have a lobby. And I think DLNR and the state of Hawaii, they need to do their own dirty work of jacking our visitors for another buck. Another tax. I've never seen a tax go away. They claim to be sunsetting this sometime down the road. I've never seen that occur ever in over 40 years of living here. So bottom line is, don't burden us with more of this paperwork and with no stated or clear-cut benefits to those that are paying it. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo. Next, I believe, was Scott Bacon. Please go ahead, Scott. Scott, we can't hear you, although I see you're not muted. I can see you, but I can't hear you. Sorry. You can try logging on again. We can come back to you later. Okay. Alexa Dickey, Marcus Key, Marcus, would you like to provide testimony? Okay. Are there any other testifiers who have not had the opportunity to testify that wish to do so now? If so, please indicate by either raising your hand in the Zoom feature or turning on your video and letting us know. Okay, are there any other people who have testified that would like to provide additional testimony? Victor?
Thank you. It's a question. I know you can't answer it, but there's private marinas like Kaua'i. There's charter vessels coming out of there. Will they be subject to that $1? Everyone should be asking that same question about any private marina. Are they affected as well?
Okay, thank you. I saw Senator Lorraine Inouye turn her video on. Would you like to provide testimony?
Hi, David.
Hi, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I just want to thank you folks for airing this informational briefing. I think it's important, and that's what rulemaking is all about. But I certainly want to thank all those presenters, those speakers between Kaua'i and Oahu for taking the time off their schedules to provide testimony. It's rather interesting. And for myself as well, because this is a dated passing of an act. And so it's 3 years later, then we're doing the rulemaking. So, but my hat's off to you folks to present this rulemaking procedure since the enactment of the measure. But interestingly, but from my point of view, I think what was brought up earlier, it's not a question, but I'm curious because I didn't realize that there was a sunset date, but then I thought I heard that after sunset, everything goes to the general fund. But I will be reviewing this with my staff as well, since I am now the chair of Water and Land and overseeing your agency. But it's something that is very interesting to me, and my committee clerk, Brad, noted. So, but again, it's interesting that at this hour that those were able to participate. So thanks, David. Good job. Good work in making sure that there's transparency in this hearing notice. So again, thanks a lot. And I'm glad my schedule permitted me to be able to participate as well as hearing those testifying. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you guys out there in Zoom land who did take time out of your schedules to give some of your mana'o. Aloha. Thanks, David.
Hey, aloha. Thank you, Senator, for joining us. Is there anyone else who has not had the opportunity that would like to provide testimony? If so, please identify yourself. Okay, I don't see anyone. Okay, well, let's proceed. Persons unable to attend or wishing to present additional comments may mail written testimony to DAR by August 4th, 2023. Please mail testimonies to the Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Aquatic Resources, 1151 Punch Bowl Street, room 330, Honolulu, Hawaii 96813. Written testimony may also be submitted by email to dlnr.aquatics@hawaii.gov. And those addresses are provided on the slide. This is the projected timeline for these rules after this public hearing. The dates are estimates, assuming that no significant changes to the proposal need to be made based on the testimony received. Based on the testimonies presented, the department will submit its findings and recommendations to the Board of Land and Natural Resources. If approved by the board, the Department of the Attorney General will conduct a final legal review. If approved, the proposed rules will be given to the governor for his final approval. Should the governor grant approval, certified copies will be filed with the Lieutenant Governor's office, and after 10 days, it becomes effective as law. Are there any questions regarding this process? Okay, seeing none. On behalf of the Board of Land and Natural Resources and DAR, thank you for attending this public hearing. It is now 6:57 p.m. and this public hearing is now adjourned. Thank you for taking time out from your day to participate in this public hearing.